Okay. Let's try this. Okay. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do this. We can do this. Okay. Hello and welcome to the High Tech Low Code podcast. This is our first foray in the podcast universe, and my name is Mario. Let's try and explain a bit of what is our podcast here. So the three of us will be the hosts of our show, the High Tech Low Code podcast, and this is where you will be able to experience the epic adventures from our guests that will relate to you anything that is related with low code development and high tech in the vast universe of IT. But enough of babbling about that. Let's get to know our hosts of the show. And well, ladies first, can you start with you, Caroline? Tell us a bit about you, your past, how you're involved with low code, and all that jazz.
Okay, all right. I guess giving an overview, my sort of introduction to IT was pretty much from university onwards. So up until then, I didn't really own a computer, etc. I started an IT computer course, not owning a computer, which is nuts. I mean, I've got a 5-year-old who has 2 iPads and he can use my phone. So it just seems really weird that I didn't touch a PC until I was about 19, 20, etc. when I started uni. So I did a business information technology course, and I liked the business side of it. The IT side I was a bit about, but I figured IT age, we should all have IT experience and exposure. So I did that, and we did things like programming, did C++ programming, which I hated. We did about, ICP protocols, hated that, data communication. So very IT techie heavy, and then there was all the nice business fluffy side, which I enjoyed the most. And I did a industrial placement. It was a 4-year course. In the 3rd year we had to be placed in IT, so I was a help desk analyst at a very corporate company, and I hated that as well. And that actually put me off IT for a number of years. So for a number of years, I did office management, database administrator, PA work, CIO, executive support, etc. And then I joined a large charity. I joined their IT department and their systems development team. And I got very much involved in projects, putting portfolios together, systems development, testing, that kind of thing, IT procurement as well, IT contracting, so the whole shebang. And then further on within that role, I got more involved in the engagement side of things. I became an engagement partner, and I always liked talking to people about IT changes, because techie people are great, they're very clever, they know what they're doing, but I always liked the people side because that was always neglected. You can roll out umpteen, digital transformation schemes and programs and portfolios, but the end user always have been left behind. And I always liked finding out the moans and niggles about what they hated about a new system and how we could improve it. So I got very much involved in the change management side of IT, the user adoption, how it all worked, how it would time with their role, how they could use it. Because we get people using legacy systems for 15, 20 years, we storm in as IT saying we're going to change everything in interfaces. A lot of shock horror, a lot of moaning. And then I was that middle woman to come in and do the training, the demoing, I guess sweet talk them round into liking the new IT, the new apps, the new digital era, the cloud era. A lot of people didn't trust things being on the cloud. So we had a lot of persuading to do of hundreds of people within the organization. So I just really love being that bridge between IT and the business, and I love apps. I just like my phone, I'm glued to my phone, love apps. I fell in love with apps when I realized I could turn on my heating from being on the train home. That's when I was like, this is great. You have that Hive app and you can turn lights on and, full burglars and things like that. So I just think,
luxury.
I just think phones are awesome, and, and apps, and that evolves into the whole Power Apps thing. And having joined Outsprint, I'm not a low code aficionado, I'm not an expert, but I've read up so much about it, and it's just amazing what we can do, you know, in line with digital transformation. But that's really my IT journey. I'm someone who was very anti-IT, you know, until it sort of affected my everyday life. And as I said, I've got a 5-year-old who loves, you know, iPads. He's got an iPad at my house, an iPad at his dad's house. He picks up my phone and uses it. He watches Netflix with it when he's bored in a restaurant or in a shopping queue. So it's a part of our everyday life. And, you know, and I don't want to become an IT geek, but I've got a real interest and, you know, within apps, and Lowcode does interest me. So I'm really glad to be at Outsprint, to be part of that journey, and, you know, and also sharpen my own techie skills. So that's sort of my journey in a nutshell, really.
Oh, that's quite interesting, Caroline. I didn't know that you were helping, and you probably still are helping people facing the nightmare of the digital transformation that happens.
Absolutely. We had so many people who were against it, who were happy to work with how they'd worked for the last 15, 20 years, which is great. But all the other systems you're using, they move on. The systems you're using become defunct, or they don't work on the new platforms we have. We had a lot of a mixed, you know, platform of Windows and Mac as well. So we had to battle with the two worlds as well and find applications and systems that would work with both, within both. So there was very much an Apple versus Windows, you know, debate that always took place. But I very much like the people side and just persuading them and showing them, you know, digital transformation isn't a bad thing. It will really enable you, it will give you power, it will help you collaborate better, co-authoring. And when a lot of people saw co-authoring, you know, you saw your colleague typing on a document at the same time, they were like, wow, oh my God, this is great. And so edited this. So it's just introducing people into that new world and getting them on board, but also bringing them along for the journey as well, which I love. I love that aspect, and seeing them change their mind as well in their aspect.
Even if it's kicking, dragging,
yes,
and screaming. Yeah.
Some people were very much still entrenched in the 20th century. They didn't want to join this new century.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely. There are those challenges going around, definitely.
Yeah, so yeah, but very much a really enjoyable challenge, and it's good to try and, you know, convert those people to what you're doing is for the best, and it will bring efficiency, you know, to be at your work, to your study, or whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, not just that. I mean, we need to move on and adapt, right? If we
Absolutely.
get stuck in time,
we'd still be using Ataris if we hadn't moved on.
Oh,
Commodore 64s and, you know, and all that. So yeah,
ZX Spectrum. Oh
yeah. Oh my God, yes. My brother had one of those. So yeah, technologies move on, and when you think of computers back then, when I had my first computer, and that was quite late, it was about 1998 when I got that, and it was massive. It was like it had been smuggled in from Bulgaria or something. It arrived in like a box from NASA. It was so big, it took me hours to put together, etc. So, and then to what you have now, which is so slick, you know, laptops, tablets, etc., flat screen monitors. So we've really evolved, you know, in all our IT journeys, really.
Oh yeah, and one thing that you did point out was the fact that your son now has available 2 tablets, just your phone.
Kids are, and Ian will agree, kids are amazing with tech. They just pick up whatever it is, your phone, your iPad, and they know it. Then he knows how to navigate. He went into settings, which I had to grab it from him, but it's just, yeah, amazing. They've just got that head. They're just hardwired, it seems, this generation, to just pick up a tablet or your phone and just go with it and start navigating. So they're very much, in that sphere,
I can give you 2 clear examples of that. And it's what I call a VHS moment.
Oh yes.
Old school, I like that. Yeah.
My parents could not figure out the VHS video recorder, and to me, it's just simplicity. So I've had 2 of those moments, and they were kind of in the last year or 2. So one, Apple did an update, and I couldn't see date and timestamps on messages anymore. And I said they must have updated the code. So my daughter took my phone and just went 1 slide. And the second one was the Connect on my Xbox wasn't working. I had to phone my son, who is 12 years old, and ask him why it's not working and where I changed the settings on it.
Oh God.
Okay, but don't feel too bad, because if you did the other way around, if you give your son, you know, a cassette from the Walkman, you know, for audio,
Very true.
and
very
a
true.
Walkman, and tell him, how do those two go together? You could see his
Yes.
face of confusion coming around.
Exactly, or an old school phone, or you know, or something like that.
You can't connect this to your Wi-Fi, Dad. How do I
Or better yet, that
Yeah.
cassette, that audio cassette plus
Oh
a
my
pencil.
God. Yes, yes. The whole, unreeling that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, all right. This is going well. Okay, now let's go on to Ian. What can you tell us about yourself?
Oh, where do I start? So on the back of Caroline, a couple of things that I kind of pulled out of when she was talking. So my first computer was a ZX Spectrum 48K. So
Nice.
A classic. Yeah.
definitely very old school. And also when you were talking about C++, I used to write some stuff in BASIC.
Okay.
And just type your name in, hello, and then your name came up. BASIC was like 2 lines of code. And then when I did it in C++, it was half a page of code. It was ridiculous. I didn't like C++ at all. So I am not a hardcore technologist. I have a good understanding of technology, but that's not where my skill set lies. So I've been a project manager for many years, too many to mention. I obviously moved into the Agile methodologies. I'm a certified Scrum Master. And my involvement in this company was to come in to try and put the Agile practices into play and get some organization and structure around some of the projects and work that we're doing. So I've only been here 2 weeks, so this is I'm still finding my way around the company, but so far it's a very dynamic company. It's extremely friendly. I've spent my career working for large financial institutions, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America. I've branched out into contracting, worked for global travel companies, small financial organizations, always doing, funny enough, technology, software projects, and pulling new teams together, implementing Agile, and making sure that we deliver the products. So I've had a career of that, and Outsprint seemed at a very interesting junction. We've got some clients, some partnerships, and we're at a stage now where we're really growing quite rapidly. And for me, that's the interesting part from my contracting days. When you go into the smaller companies rather than the larger institutions, it's a lot more dynamic, it's a lot more flexible. There's a much better sense of community, as opposed to throwing things over the wall to different departments. It's a team. We all are invested in the company. So that's why I came to Outsprint. So it's not necessarily about the technologies. It's more about the company and where it is. So that was my introduction. And so far, bringing structure and Agile I'm working directly with clients. I'm working with partnership companies, and we also have a team of highly skilled developers in OutSystems. So far, it's been a fantastic journey, but it's only 2 weeks. Maybe in a later podcast, I'll update further.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool. Do you still have good memories of that Spectrum?
My eldest brother had one, and so I would have a go now and then. Most of the time he was batting my hand away because he thought I'd break it, but it was awesome. And we also had an Atari 400, and I recall playing for hours basketball and Asteroids. Those were the 2 games. Yes, and they were just on continuously on a loop. Those were the games, and then, so my cousin had the Commodore 64, so they were in that camp. And then we were very much on ZX Spectrum, and we had an Atari in our house. So, they were our stalwarts, in terms of computing and technology, and then you see it evolve. As I said, computers seem to get bigger. I was never a big gamer, so I've never had an Xbox or a PS3 or whatever, things like that. So I've never been a big gamer. Yeah. Ian, are you a massive gamer?
No. my Xbox profile, if you looked at that, I look amazing. But it's basically when I first got it, my son just automatically did everything under my profile.
Oh, right, yeah. So you look awesome, but it's like all a fake, yeah.
So all of those trophies in Call of Duty are actually from your son, right?
No, I don't. He's too young to play those ones.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah.
Which, interestingly enough, I was absolutely blown away that there was a game that was cross-platform. So when we were talking about Macs and the Windows kind of options,
Yes.
the Fortnite for me, the fact that my son could play it on my laptop, on my Xbox, on his iPad, was just I thought that was absolutely amazing. I was blown away because it removes that you're either one stream or the other. You're either Xbox or PlayStation.
Oh yeah, but that took its time to come. It's a win that is recent.
But no, I don't play. I don't play very much gaming at all. And if I do, I'm only doing car racing. I don't like.
The Mario Kart or.
But you can't get that on the Xbox. I've tried.
Can you not?
I have to get my son to bring his Switch over so I can connect it up and play.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Good plan. Good plan.
on the subject of gaming, do people still use Nintendo and Sega? Because they were like the 90s. Stalwarts. It was Nintendo v Sega. You either had one or the other.
Okay, so nowadays Nintendo is quite strong. They have the Switch. Yeah.
That's it. Yes.
Sega on the hardware department, they went kind of bust or
bust or into administration, basically.
Yeah. So the last console they made was the Dreamcast.
Oh God, that's going back. That was Arsenal's sponsor in like 1998 or something.
Yeah, 1999. Yeah.
So they lost the battle then. Sega no more.
They keep on doing. They do keep on doing mobile games and games for the other consoles.
Okay. Yeah,
there's quite a few titles from them, the Sonic still exists, for example.
Oh yes, yeah, and he's got movies now. I had to
and
sit
he's got
through
movies now.
A movie in the cinema with my son the other month. So so he's still torturing my parents. Yeah, can't even get away from him. Yeah, so
it's
Sonic,
good stuff.
Good old Sonic. Yeah.
All right.
We've had Pikachu movies.
Oh my God,
Sonic
Pikachu.
movies.
Yeah.
You get, there is a trend here. Games are starting to cross over to movies.
To movies, Tomb Raider, and
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorites, Tomb Raider.
Was that one? Yeah, for the uniform, obviously. Yeah.
No. Before that, it was Indiana Jones, but there was nothing like that.
Yeah. He wasn't wearing anything like that, so.
No, definitely. Good thing.
Okay. It was about the outfit. I do agree.
Yes, that was a big pull for.
There's something about the globe-trotting adventurers, going all over the world and into tombs.
Yeah, while shooting, blowing people's heads off. Yeah.
Yes.
That's always a travel benefit. Yeah.
You seem to be too well versed in this. Remind me never to upset you.
It's trained in blowing people's heads off. Yeah. So
Okay, I guess lastly it's my turn to speak a bit about me.
Yes.
Okay, what can I say about me? Well, my first console actually was a French computer that I don't remember the name.
Okay.
Which is good.
We'll call it l'escargot or something. Yeah.
The snail, good one.
Probably how long it took to process. So
Probably. I think my first foray with technology was actually through a Game Boy that I got handed down from my cousin, and that was it. I kind of got into technologies. So whenever I could, I would get involved. I remember that my parents allowed me to play with, what was the name of the IBM computer? PS2, I think, or PC.
Oh God! Oh yes, more massive computers.
Monochromatic screen. I remember.
Yes.
And I remember it had a learning module where they would give you the basics of how a computer would work. And
yes, how to switch it on and how to next page and then it's like doing a degree. Yeah.
Yes. And then from that it went on for from that I was able to jump onto a x86 platform. I had a 486
Yes.
computer, and
I
then
remember those.
yeah, and then it just went from there. Always very kind of underpowered, but I was able to find emulators, games that would still run.
Yes.
I got into Pascal. My first development was with Pascal. I remember those.
Yeah. My God, that's hardcore programming. That's sort of that's.
I remember I tried to do some
Yeah.
web pages because it was that was the latest thing. Let's do a web page.
Yes.
And then it just went from there. High school, I took a specific course on technology instead of doing the general. And then college, computer science. And then after that, OutSystems.
Yeah, so you proper geeked out. You were the full-on techie geek. You probably joined computer club at high school if you had that.
I didn't have a computer club in high school, but in pre-high school we did have, and I did join it. Yes.
Oh wow! No, you seem the type. You're like, you definitely would, be in that club.
Yeah. So yeah, fresh out of university, I got the amazing opportunity to do an internship for a partner, for an OutSystems partner, and I've been with OutSystems ever since, and that has been a great ride. It took me to London, now Berlin, and it gave me an excellent opportunity to work with a big variety of projects and meet some amazing people along the way, and now Outsprint, where is this going to lead us? Where is this going to take us?
What is your next big vision in terms of either within the OutSystems platform or branching into something else? Do you have a next stage that you want to develop or discover?
Yeah, personally, I always been intrigued with VR, and I know that it's getting a certain momentum now. So I would definitely, probably next year, beginning of the next year, I will invest in some equipment, some gear,
of course.
And I'll try to do some VR related side projects, just to get the brain juices flowing, so to speak.
So a new challenge and something new to learn and discover. So.
But one thing that you mentioned, and I do agree with you, although this is very techy and it's very interesting, we must never forget the people side of things, which is something I really like also. I never was kind of keen on getting into an office, getting into my corner, do whatever tasks that would come into Jira, and just go home at the end of the day or go have a couple of pints at the end of the day. No, it's all that interaction with your colleagues, getting up, going to their place. Oh, I'm having this trouble. Why is this not working? Or how can we solve this? All of this social.
Social interaction while problem solving and looking at solutions, that kind of thing, and not forgetting the end user, which is a lot of technical people do tend to do. They talk in their jargon, they've got their tech speak, but then they forget that sometimes they're talking to someone who doesn't really have a clue about what they're on about. So, and the person's looking blankly back at them and not understanding anything. So you're right. That people side and always drawing back to that element.
Because
I think one of the key things in my role, just to add on to this, is translating what the user wants or what the client wants into something that technology will understand, and then translating it back to them. And you always have to have your eyes on, what are the goals? Where are we heading with this? Because if you don't share the big picture, then if you work with technologists that are just working on a small piece and don't understand how it fits into the bigger picture, it can be, to Mario's point, it can be quite a lonely, come in, sit at your desk, do a piece of code, and not really understanding, how this thing fits together. What value am I adding to this project? I don't have any visuals on where we're going and what it is we're trying to achieve. So it's always setting the goals of what we're trying to achieve. What is the value of it? What benefit are we going to bring to our clients? And if we can't do that as a team, then I think that's one of the failing points. I think that's very important.
Of course, yeah. I mean, they're talking about coders. I mean, IT guys, and I say guys in general because usually it's sort of, dominantly guys. But when I've worked in IT departments and you sort of go up to the SQL guy and he looks at you like you're an alien because you're not meant to talk to him. You're meant to email, even though you're about 10 meters away from him. And he's like, why are you at my desk? And you could have, you could have asked me by email, etc. So, but so they're getting a bit more interactive and more social, etc. IT geeks as such. Especially in departments where once they were just in a corner coding for hours on end. Now they do actually talk to people, and so they're evolving like cavemen. They've sort of changed throughout the ages, I found, and they're more social now. They go out for drinks and everything now. So.
Yeah. Who could have told that we would get there a couple of pints at the end of the day?
But a large following of hardcore, right at the edge technologists from this, aren't they? Yes, they've evolved past cavemen now. This is good.
The one thing that I really enjoyed was now picking up on Ian's comment on Agile was actually, when we do the scrums.
Yes.
One thing that I really enjoy is when we have, a fairly medium project and you have like one or two developers, you have your project manager, you have your business analyst, and suddenly you have the developer discussing a problem directly with the business analyst or even the marketing team, and you kind of like cut the middleman, and the message does not get lost because now everyone is on the same level. Everyone understands what is happening. And that social part, you can't be an introvert. You have to be willing to communicate, talk with people, and, be there for them whenever it's necessary. Because when you reach the part where you're supposed to be testing, now you've created that connection.
Yes.
Now it's not as awkward as Caroline was saying. You go to the SQL guy and go like, yeah, right. So we need a data fix now. You kind of go like, oh, remember that user story? Yeah, it kind of went wrong. Can you help me out? It's different.
Yeah, they don't just grunt at you anymore like they used to back in the day. So
or answer the emails. Why do you need me on this meeting? I don't need to be there.
Exactly. It was always the techie guys, the dev guys who just skipped meetings. So they were just never there. And, someone would ping them and, where are you, etc. And I didn't think I needed to be here, even though you're invited. So that was sort of the standard response we used to get at times.
The problem is developers are waiting for the requirements and waiting for people to, the business side of it. And to be honest, I tend to, at the start of any project, I pull in everyone that's involved. So they actually, even if it's just for the first meeting, so they understand the direction we're taking, everyone knows everyone. You get people on the ground floor, and then also it kind of almost prepares them because they know work is coming down the pipeline and they know about it. They were involved in the initial discussions. The other thing is trust. You in a good Scrum team, you must have trust. So speaking up, you must be able to trust your team. You can speak up and be heard and discuss ideas. It's not a place to be shy. The idea is that we move at pace to deliver as quickly as possible. So transparency and trust are two key things that need to be, and they're more the softer side of it as opposed to outside of the actual development or the management or managing sprints or scrums. It's getting the team to have that level of trust and that level of openness. So they're the kind of softer side of it that I find is very important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that could be the decisive between a good environment to work in with working on an environment with a certain level of tension. That's not necessarily bad, but that it's there, and you kind of go like, I really don't want to go into that meeting. Oh, I really don't want to go to talk with my colleague at this moment. It's not that it's bad. It's just there's a little bit of grinding
and awkward collaboration.
I mention it on this call, but with obviously COVID pandemic that's going on, I mean, most people are working remotely as well. So, I mean, Scrum teams can be disparate and all over the globe, but without that, sometimes you just need to get together in a room face to face and kind of discuss and thrash things out. And it's a challenge to do everything remotely. It's
absolutely
it does remove that kind of round the water cooler kind of chats that go on. So it's now you have to, pick up one of the messaging services and kind of actually reach out to someone to talk to them. So, and you miss that, I need to call someone because I need information. And what you don't get is that sense of we're a team and I'm just checking in. How are you doing? What are you working on? Just generally banging ideas about between the team. And that's a challenge that I suppose most companies are facing.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point. That's actually an element that we don't have nowadays because of the pandemic, right? I mean, it's like you said, it's that coffee talk when you go and fetch your first coffee in the morning and you have a couple of colleagues there. Oh, so how it was yesterday? And you just, if you're a little bit nerdy, you kind of go, oh yeah, yesterday I started working on this little bit of a project and I'm hoping I can fix it or do this or do that. And someone can give you some insight or not, It's all of those little interactions that make going into the office profitable, so to speak.
And that's what you miss. I mean, it's great what we can do remotely, and we as a company have been able to function and get on and onboard so many new people, in the last couple of months. But you do miss that interaction, and there are things that may be unsaid or that can be miscommunicated, within chat portals or what have you, and oh, that's not what I meant, but it came across a bit aggressive or etc. Whereas if you'd had that face-to-face interaction, the person would have got the point, and no offense taken, etc. Yeah, so that's what I'm finding.
As a technologist, I didn't take the caveman to heart.
Yeah. I've offended like a legion of technologists all over the place. Sort of alienated our audience.
I'm sure they will like us, so they won't mind.
Hopefully not. Yeah, please subscribe. Yes.
Good one. Love it. On cue. One thing I think we could help our listeners to understand is talk a bit about us and a bit more about us and how we connect with Outsprint and Lowcode. So how does Lowcode binds us in Outsprint? I can start myself because I was the last one to present. So like I said, I'm a developer slash trainer. I've been using Lowcode, OutSystems, mainly since ever I finished my university. And that's pretty much it. Making headaches for everyone else. From the project manager to the end user.
I mean, my low-code exposure is very minimal. Tiago showed me how to put together some low-code the other day because I was asking about it, etc. And he went, let me show you. And he put some expressions together. This is how simple it is, And it is. And I thought, if I actually thought about this and put my head down and actually studied it, I'm sure I could cobble something. It may work, may not work, but it was just, I mean, I explained to a friend about Lowcode because he asked, oh, where do you work now, etc. And he says, oh yeah, it's like coding for the masses. That was his take on it, making coding easy. And I said, well, steady on, we don't want it too easy because we want people to pay for our services. So retract that. But he sort of got the gist of it in terms of what it aims to do. Is that your understanding of it? Is that how you view it, Mario and Ian?
No. So I think your friend picked it up from one of the latest trends, which is called citizen development. And because there is a lack of developers for the current digital transformation that is happening within the companies and the business streams. People need the technology, but there are not enough developers to provide that technology for them. So low code or even no code at all is being pushing forward what is called the citizen development. And that is, so imagine that you have a business analyst that is controlling, something inside of your company using an Excel sheet, right? What these technologies allow is to go from that Excel sheet to a controlled environment by your IT department and allow them to have a software that is available for everyone now, and it follows some standards, and it allows them to reach their objective with that they were doing with that Excel sheet. So there is that component. But for myself, low code is more on the lines that we can build whatever you would do with .NET Java, just a lot faster. You know,
Yeah.
And,
We have-
So it's been streamlined. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you can do it at enterprise level as well. So
yes, yes. No, that's actually a good point, because that's something that usually it's left out of the equation when explaining it to someone. And then the image is, oh yeah, so now you can do internal apps. So only for the internal use of the application of the company, sorry, and that's it. But no, it's whatever you can picture, whatever you can imagine, multi-tenant scenarios, integrating with, I don't know, different identity providers, Google Maps, whatever you can come up with, Salesforce, SAP, you can do it. And, you know, sky's the limit. And it's faster.
I actually find one of the things now, I mean, we can develop at pace, and it's kind of simplified, or rather than starting from scratch, we've got something as a baseline. I think one of the things, and I'm just going back to the kind of fortnight, I think the connectivity between all of these apps and utilizing services that are already there, that for me is kind of key, and where the benefits are. We can build things, but they need to be integrated and connected with everything else that's already out there. And if we can do that, then, you know, we have something that, as you say, there's no limit to it. We can just keep bolting onto it.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I see it.
Definitely. Yeah, right. I would say this has been a good session. We're coming close to our time. Is anything else you guys would like to share, say?
Not at present. We'll save that for the next one. But I've loved everyone's journeys, you know, from IT Geek or wherever you started to present day. So thank you, Mario. Thank you, Ian.
Then let's wrap this up today.
Cool.
Please join us on our next episode of High Tech Low Code podcast, where we'll feature our first guest and we'll approach the subject of women in tech industry. Hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're off. Thank you, guys.